Hey guys, I'm Spencer Smith and this is Pete Doran. We're both of Pareto Health. This video is about level funded insurance. Talk about the basics of captives, but of course this would be a separate video by itself, right? And we'll probably do, Pareto will ask us to do that, I'm sure. But level funding, so when I say level funding, let's set the record straight right here. Is level funding self-funding?
That is correct. Level funding is self-funding, right? It's simplified self-funding, so to speak, right? When you think about an employer, especially an employer coming from fully insured, they're used to, and they love the fact that they get that one bill every month, and that bill is the same, right? They don't have to go up or down and pay more or pay less, right? Level funding element of self-funding looks and feels like self-funding. Although it is looks and feels like fully insured, but it is self-funding because they are funding their claims on a monthly basis. It's just that claim funding, right, is on a more stable platform. Essentially, they're funding to the same level every month that claims, and we reconcile that at the end of the year.
So it almost looks like they're paying premium essentially, right? Even though that is a mixture of fixed costs and the projected claims costs, they're paying a level premium, right? So level funding is simply means, like you said, it's the same amount every single month that they're funding, assuming the head count stays the same.
And so think about an employee that, again, if you have employees that go to the doctor, earlier in the year or later in the year, right? And you may pay $50,000 for claims in that particular month, and the next month you might have $20,000 in claims. It's that up and down fluctuation that employers don't like about self-funding, especially those that are coming to self-funding for the first time from fully insured. Their first and second year in the self-funding is when they can see that volatility.
It's the training wheels, right? This is self-funding with training wheels. And again, inherently, is it bad? Not necessarily, right? It has an application. Smaller employers maybe don't have claims data. Maybe they're in that 40 life range, 35 life range. They want to do something. They're offered what looks like an enticing opportunity here with level funding. They get some claims information. They get some reporting, which may be new to them. So there's a little bit of an element that feels like I'm doing something, right?
Yeah, a lot of employers make the step, instead of going straight partially self-funding from fully insured, some employers take that, what they think is an intermediate step, right, into a transition into a level funded platform. Because again, it does look and have the appearance of fully insured.
Well, in keeping with the spirit of goods and the bads, the advantages, the disadvantages.
I'm ready for you on this
We're definitely ready for the disadvantages of this, and I think there are many, but still limitations of level funding, because there absolutely are some. So what are the things that you touch on?
So the things that make level funding good are also bad, right? Okay. Essentially, an insurance company is going to give you a platform that's tightly bundled. So limitations on plan designs and selections when it comes to the basic things, right? But also, they force you to use. There's no ability to manage claims, right? There's generally no elements of cost containment, right? So just like fully insured, where we're putting discounts on top of bill charges, the same thing happens in a level funded environment. Okay. What's the biggest profit center for any level funded plan?
Prescription,
right? And they're going to force you to use their prescription plan, right? And by the way, limitations on plan designs as it pertains to prescription as well. The biggest factor about level funding is that most level funded plans do not allow employers at the end of the year to keep 100% of the claim fund.
Okay.
Right? They have to give back some element of profit on the claim side of the business at the end of the year, should there be profit.
So that's that surplus that we're all hoping for when we're self-funded, the surplus or leftover dollars from our budget. So you're saying level-funded carriers often make them split it. So what's that split look like? Is that 50-50, 70-30? What is it usually?
Most level-funded plans are split, 50-50.
Okay.
I see a lot of plans now that are splitting, 30%. But imagine as you're an employer, right? You have a great year, right? There's profits there. There's claim dollars left in the plan at the end of the year, and now you have to cut a check back to the insurance carrier. Oh, by the way, you still have to use their pharmacy plan, and they're making money on that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And by the way, you had several large claimants, but you really didn't do anything about it because you can't manage them under that platform.
Yep.
Right. So again, partially self-funded plans oftentimes have the ability to be better on network. Obviously, the ability to employ a platform that manages the medical claims, both big and small. The ability to carve out that pharmacy profit center, right, that the carriers have. And of course, in a partially self-funded plan, under a normal basis, employers are going to keep 100% of those reserves.
Yeah,
right? That money is theirs.
Well, so a couple other limitations that I like to stress, right, is we mentioned the split of surplus.
Yep.
Usually they also make you renew or stay there, and you get that surplus split as a credit if you renew next year. So they're locking you in to the following year in order to even realize your own dollars coming back to you. But the other structural component that I think is a limiting factor is these are often loaded heavily with fixed costs. So
That's correct.
heavy on the admin costs, heavy on the stop loss costs. They usually put you in smaller deductibles than those employers might choose otherwise. They squash the corridor, right? So there's less claims exposure. So they've structured the plan almost like the house when you're going to a casino.
That's right.
Where they're going to win, or they're going to win no matter what. Heads I win, tails you lose.
Right.
But they've structured it a way where they put a lot of fixed costs in it. So it looks like you have opportunity. But when you start to break down the math, the exposed claims or the ability to win actually is really, really, really small.
Right. The split between admin costs and actual claims dollars on a level funded plan is generally around 50-50.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on a partially self-funded plan, that split goes to, in many cases, 70% on the claims, 30% on the fixed expenses. Fixed expenses being admin costs, stop loss, and many times consultant commission.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, there's an inherent structural difference between level funded plans and partially self-funded plans.
Sure, and it's easy button. Like we already said when they might be used, right? A transition product, a very small employer that wants to feel like they're doing something. But ultimately, it is a relatively, I would say not relatively, it's definitely a limited product. Not inherently bad, but just the structure of it is tilted towards the carrier in order to give them the best opportunity to win. So if you're in a level funded plan today, or if you're a consultant that does them, maybe look at how do we transition out of them? What is the opportunity to transition out?
I think it's one thing. I want to mention one thing.
Yes.
I think it's important to note that if you're on a partially self-funded plan, you also have what's called aggregate accommodation.
Yes,
Okay?
yes, good.
And it's one of the things that
Yep.
we didn't touch about.
Yeah,
as
let me go
far
back
as
to that graph while you're talking about it, okay? So aggregate accommodation is going to be built into, geez, how many graphs did I draw, Pete? So it's going to be built into the plan. So how does aggregate accommodation work?
So aggregate accommodation, again, for groups specifically coming from fully insured, or those that are not accustomed to the partially self-funded model, and they want to get a more even-keeled experience on their claims side of things,
Okay.
right? We employ aggregate accommodation, and that essentially creates that level-funded platform, right?
That's for these months right here, right? Where I did on a monthly basis go over my attachment.
That's correct. And so instead of having the volatility on your claims pick every month and potentially coming out of pocket more on claims that an employer might feel comfortable with, we're going to give them that level experience throughout the year. So they'll fund the claims to the same limit each month until the 12th month when we reconcile where we are at the end of the year.
So with that aggregate accommodation, which is usually a feature that's built into a level funded plan, you're saying partially self-funded employers could essentially just buy that. It's usually cheap, right? $1 PPM or $1.50.
$1 to $2 depending on
okay.
the size of the group.
So they get that same protection on the worst case scenarios for their aggregate claims on a monthly
That's correct.
basis.
And what
Yeah.
happens at the end of the year, if you fund to the attachment point or you fund to max, right, and you spend something less, that delta on the claims is called reserves.
Yeah.
Okay. On a partially self-funded plan, this is the bucket where if you're level funded, you're giving a portion of it back. On a partially self-funded plan, again, as an employer, you're going to keep all of this. You have reserves going into the next year, and so you don't worry as much the second year about this volatility. And so you take that aggregate accommodation away the second year.
Yeah, those reserves, that surplus now is yours to keep in totality rather than sharing it with somebody else.
That's
so,
correct.
Pete, we're going to tease the